my son, if thou wilt receive my words, and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom, and apply thy heart unto understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge, and liftest up thy voice for understanding. If thou seekest her after as silver, and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then thou shalt understand the fear of the I am, and find the knowledge of God. For the I am giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the path of judgment, and preserveth the way of his saints. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee away from the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things, who lead the path of unrighteousness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil, and delight in the forwardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, they are forward in their path, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her lips, her words, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her God. For her house inclineth unto death, her path unto the dead. None that goeth unto her return again, neither take they hold of the paths of life, that thou mayest walk in the way of good men, and keep the paths of righteousness. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from earth, and the transgressor shall be rooted out. Proverbs chapter 2. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits, who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me in my seat, that we go not astray henceforth and forever. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, all praises, all praises, all praises. We give God the glory and the praise. He's worthy of all praise. We thank him for all that he's done. We thank him for his mercy. We thank him for his favor. We thank him for all the things that he has bestowed upon us. Yes, we thank him for the deliverance that he's delivering all to those who have had their resources stolen, and yet they decide to take what is left and build themselves up. Yes, that is good, to learn how to farm and do agriculture in their land, and to protect their lands. Oh, this is nothing but the Most High. Yes, it is. It's nothing but the Most High. And we thank God for that. We give God the praise and the glory for it. And the naysayers that come about, that have been ravaging and pillaging their lands, but now God says enough. Yes, yes, yes. And also, we thank God for those of you that have been with us since the beginning, and those of you that have been with us here and there's about, and those of you who have just subscribed, as well as those of you who are about to subscribe, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes, all praises to the Most High. Yes, we see that, we first started out, we're near at a certain amount of subscribers. We are pretty much near lacking 40 subscribers to even go live on this platform. And it seems as though there's a blockage there some kind of way. You get your views down, and many of the videos are not going toward the FYP to even get subscribers or whatever. Whereas in the beginning, it was growing by leaps and bounds. So we know there's something that is not right in the mix. But nevertheless, we thank God for you, and those of you that are just viewing. We thank God for you calling those things that are not just as though they are. Praise the name of the Most High. We're still in the book of 2 Chronicles. Yes, the book of 2 Chronicles. And we're in chapter 32. Chapter 32. We're going to try to change up our presets or our introductions and all that stuff once we get to these other, into a different type of, should I say, narrative. That which of Israel going into captivity, of being in captivity. Right now is still Judah. Israel's already in captivity at this point of the narrative. And now you have Judah, who is going up and down, in and out, and still none have been in the captivity yet. But they have. God is just he's poking in and out. He's prodding to see if they would turn. He turns their enemies against him, but they won't. They're stubborn and stiff-necked. They'll repent and they'll give themselves together, just like even today. Many give themselves to God and Christianity and Islam and all this, only to find out once they get their way, even Buddhism, they'll turn from those religions unto the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then next thing you know, once they get their way, they're going back into whatever they were in, even before they even got to their Christian or Islamic belief system, or Muslim belief system, however you may put it. He does that. Yes. So we're in Chronicles. Hezekiah, very righteous king at the time. But then Hezekiah is saying now, in the previous chapter, Hezekiah was one that had caused God to be worshipped and praised and put up on high. And oh, God just loved it. Yes. But we understand in yesterday's, the book of the law, what is God's whole purpose toward us being righteous and holy? And just doing the things that come natural. What is natural? Natural is we don't want nobody stealing from us. We don't want nobody murdering our loved ones, even us. We don't want to be low-hanging fruit. We don't want to be none of that stuff. God says, okay. He says there's a law. He gives you that measure of the law. We know these things stem from jealousy and covetousness and disrespect toward each other, and all these things culminate. But you have even the demonic forces that come and try to take the meanings of these things in the law and change them. Now we're going to go back into the law, but we're going to go back to Exodus. Back. And we're going to come forward again. We're going to keep doing this over and over and over again. Most likely we're going to come out with new things. Very new things. So keep your eyes open for when we, after the Sabbath, we get into the law. Yes. Chronicles chapter 32, it says, after these things, the establishment thereof, in other words, the establishment of the order of the Most High, of the temple and everything, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered into Judah and encamped against the cities and thought to win them for himself. Sort of like reminds you of when the U.S. sends their entourage to Burkina Faso for goodwill. Only thing I can say for President Traore and all the Sahel, learn from the kings of Israel. Learn from those who preceded you and how they got into colonialism, and then now, and still many continue in colonialism. Get it right. Okay? Learn. Because they will never stop As long as God's wrath is out there and God sees that people are not walking according to his ways, God will not take his wrath off of their hearts. They are there for deceitfulness. Although they have their reward, still God wants to take those that are supposed to be his and show them the path of peace and righteousness. But nevertheless, Sennacherib, king of Assyria. Now, Assyria has been a really big, before even Babylon, Assyria has been a big adversary of Israel from the 10 tribes, now Judah, and encamped against the finished city throughout to win them for himself. In other words, he's fear-mongering right now. And when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib was come, and he was purposed to fight against Jerusalem, or Yasharal, however you call it, he took counsel with his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains which were without the city, and they did help him. Now, if you go to that temple which is in Telerad, you'll see where there are waters, there are sewage, and there are also there waters that goes out from the fountain that is deep in the ground. How it came out and it watered everything from Bethlehem to, even if you look at it, there's a field out there that's watered. How it's watered, I don't know. But this is the water that God sent throughout the land of Judah. It came from Bethlehem. It came from the city of David. And he took counsel with his mighty princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains which were without the city, and they did help him. So there was gathered much people together who stopped all the fountains and took the brook and ran through the midst of the land, saying, why should the kings of Assyria come and find much water? And also he strengthened himself and built up all the walls that were broken and raised it up to the towers, and another wall without, and repaired Millo in the city of David, and made darts and shields in abundance. In other words, he got them metal smiths and got to going. Metal darts, it's not hard to make at all. You can make that just by rubbing metal on the ground, or even just a stone, a small stone that fits the description of what you're looking for. And he sets captains of war over the people, and gathered them together to him in the street of the gate of the city, and spake comfortably to them, saying, be strong and courageous, be ye not afraid nor dismayed for the king of Assyria, for all the multitude that is with him, and for there be more with us than with them. Yes. Now he says, and with them is an arm of flesh, but with us is the I am our God. And so rightly so, he's saying, to help us and to fight our battles. And the people rest themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, the king of Judah. Why would he say such a thing? Even Elijah said that when he was with his servant Gehazi in the mountain fighting the Philistines. What did he say? Don't be afraid. They which are with us are more than they which are out there. But his servant could not see for walking by sight. His confidence was not in the Most High. So what did Elijah do? Elijah says, open his eyes that he might see. And he looked, and behold, there were thousands upon thousands of spirit entities on a mountain, ready to go and attack the minds of the Philistines. And so they did, with blindness and confusion. Were they evil? Yes, to the Philistines they were. And so that they had made these men to battle each other, and when the morning came, there was nothing but corpses all over the place. Now, In verse 8, he says, with him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the I am our God to help us and to fight our battles. And the people rested themselves upon the words of King of Judah. In other words, they've been praising, they've been worshiping God, they've been sacrificing to the Most High, they've been obeying His commandments, statutes, and laws and ordinances. Yes, they did that. And after this, did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, send his servants to Jerusalem, but he himself laid siege against Lachish, and all his power with him unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, and unto all Judah that were at Jerusalem. Now this is the book for, one of the bases of the book, volume 2 of the book by Erno Bontu and Gert Mueller, The History of the Ancient Hebrews and Arabs, to show not only by forensic evidence, but in volume 1 they showed by historical evidence that these people were of Afrocentric nature. Yes, kinky hair and black skin is what they were saying. Okay? And thus Sennacherib said, a king of Assyria, whereon do ye trust that ye abide in the siege of Jerusalem? Doth not Hezekiah persuade you to give over yourselves to die by famine and by thirst, saying, the I am our God shall deliver us out of the hands of the king of Assyria? Hath not the same Hezekiah taken away his high places and his altars, and commanded Judah and Jerusalem, saying, ye shall worship before one altar, not no altar of no Jesus, not no altar of no Yahushai or Yahusha, but one altar. There is only one God. And there was only one temple there also. Yes, it was. So what did he do? He says, now, Hezekiah, and he said, ye shall worship before one altar and burn incense upon it. Verse 13. Know ye not that I and my fathers have done unto all the people of other lands, where the gods of those nations, those lands, anyways, able to deliver their lands out of mine hand? Who was there among all the gods of those nations that my father utterly destroyed, and could deliver his people out of mine hand, that your God should be able to deliver you out of my hand? See, God had Sennacherib in mind because of the rebellion of the people of all of Israel, Judah, and the other 10 tribes. Yes, he did. Sennacherib was to play an important role. See, like many of you do not even understand why you were taken into captivity on the continent of Africa. I'm talking about Northeast Africa, all the way to Egypt, and all the way you were scattered. And many of you were taken to Egypt again in ships. This is a metaphor that God used to show how the world was one, and that you were taken, some were taken across the waters into the Americas. Some were taken, yes. And that was part of the thing that God has. Now he has put it in the heart of your enemies from this day to back then. He put it in the heart of your enemies, those who would colonize you, neo-colonize you. They have this Deuteronomy chapter 28, as well as, should I say, Leviticus chapter 26. You go back to that and read it too. Because your ancestors refused to obey God. They did not see the big picture, and they were blinded by the big picture. The big picture was as God wants to walk among the peoples of the earth. Him and those spirits that are with him, to be a part of us all. Yes. As we give ourselves of our own free thoughts and free thinkings unto the Most High. And for Israel to have agreed to these things. Verse 14. Now he boasted in how he destroyed so many nations and lands. Now in verse 15 he says, now therefore let not Hezekiah deceive you, nor persuade you on this manner. Now we also read this in the book of 2 Kings. Neither yet believe him, for no God of any nation or kingdom was able to deliver his people out of mine hand and out of my fathers how much less shall your God deliver you out of your hand? Now, even the God of the Christians and the God of the Muslims and whatever they perceive that God to be, whether he be the same or no, it's different. So you got Gabriel in the book of Enoch had a different. How can Gabriel even be a messenger unto two different entities when he had one specific rule and one specific thing he had to do before the Most High? Why didn't God send Michael? Why didn't he send any others? But they like the name Gabriel, I guess. But if you read the book of Enoch, you'll find out Gabriel had a job specifically that he's supposed to have done before the Most High. So who was this angel or this spirit that spoke unto Mary and Muhammad? Who was he? Whether we believe it to be true or false, there was a spirit there. Now, out of the hands of my fathers, much how less shall your God deliver you out of my hand. See, he was boasting above God himself. I mean, here is you boasting about these idols that you show and don't know. It's you giving your position because of the rebelliousness of the children of Jacob, and how that they deemed other people greater than themselves instead of them looking at themselves as children of the Most High and sanctifying themselves from the world and those that are around them. Verse 16, and his servant spake yet more against the I Am and against his servant Hezekiah. And he wrote letters to rail on the I Am God of Israel. Or some of you, even on certain social medias, oh, you rail hard against God. You rail hard. But what is your end? What shall God do to you? To discourage and be swayed by the thoughts of men's hearts. Those spirits have to have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. What shall God do unto you? How shall he judge you? Is he trying to draw you in because of your rebelliousness to show you the error of your ways? Or is he doing this that you might be a vessel that he might make an example of? We don't know. But it shall come to pass and we shall see. Okay? So again, in verse 17, as the gods of the nations and of other lands have not delivered their people out of mine hand, so shall not the God of Hezekiah deliver his people out of mine hand. Now you have to realize, I say this over and over again, if you read the books, the first three books of beginnings, not Genesis, it's Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher. You're going to find out God handed all the nations over to other gods. Wouldn't it be not so that he handed Christianity over to a certain spirit? And say, have with them what you will. You can counterfeit things. The same thing with Islam or Muslim, as well as these other nations who we try to point the finger at them, but three or four pointing back at you. You kill, you steal, you destroy in the name of your entity you have derived from out of the people of Israel. Yes, God wants to walk among us, Israel. He wants to walk with us. He wants to be a part of us. But we will not allow him for our sin. This is why he has the laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of clean and unclean, and how to purify our thoughts and how to think, and the things that those who have endeavored to try to keep the law. You can't even keep the law that even your Hawashah, your Islamic, teachings teach you. Many of you can't even do it. But yet you get to the point where you get so jealous where you want to go against everything, and you concoct all kind of lies against those of darker skin, the dark brownish skin with kinky hair. You concoct all kind of lies to justify yourself. It doesn't work with God like that. But it's to your own damnation is what it is. No, you will not see 1,000 virgins in paradise, because it's a lie. Now, And that cried unto the loud voice in the Jews' speech unto the people of Jerusalem that were on the wall, and affrighted them, and to trouble them, and that they might take the city. And they spake against the God of Jerusalem, and against the gods of the people of the earth, which were the work of men, hands of men. He's talking about idols. For this cause Hezekiah the king, and the prophet Isaiah. Now look at what's happening. When you read the book of Isaiah, his time was during the time of Hezekiah. So we see a cohesion here. The son of Amos prayed and cried to heaven. And the I Am sent an angel, which cut off all the mighty men of valor, and the leaders of the captains in the camp of the king of Assyria. So he returned with the shame of the face of his own land, to his own land. And when he was coming to the house of his God, they that came forth of his own bowels slew him there with the sword. Now this is what happened to Sennacherib, because he, defied the Most High. Now the people did not see this angel that slew them, but the prophet Isaiah knew and understood what was going on, and not only him, but the king Hezekiah and those who knew their God. They understood what was going on, wherein today's we will attribute everything to our missiles, bombs, nukes, or bullets, or whatever. But it's not like that. You're not, although it moves fast and it's hard, no, it's not like that. There are spirits that rule this realm of mankind, or the finite world. There's spirits that rule it. And your inventions are just to your own damnation. Because if you notice that many of the other nations, this is what they thrive on, forecasting their evil. Because even the Bible talks about they went to unwalled villages. What war has they won in the British Isles and all these other things? They went to Africa. People who had no guns, they waited until they got fight for fight. Africans would have been defeated. This is what they fear. Now that in Africa they have they're accumulating guns and being trained on how to use them in tactics. And they're also some of the tactics of their ancient ancestors they're using. And you're going to find a most formidable enemy. You think Vietnam, or should I say Afghanistan, or your Houthis was bad. Wait until the continent and different countries get up to full force and full tactical advantage. Or should I say, not only with guns, not only with technology, but with their hands. Look at how far China has come. You think you're going to be able, the average military soldier is going to be able to take on one China soldier? Because he's learned in their arts on how to do things to cripple or disable his opponent. And they use real life situations many times. But being in the military here, maybe your elite forces might get some leeway, or those who have practiced martial arts may do something. But it's not going to overcome them like as before. They did not know in Vietnam, neither China nor Japan, but now they have honed those things to the point where I don't think should I say, the military in the West is of any match. All you have is technology, that's it. Even today you have where the Ukrainians have called themselves out. They see that they have messed up, and now they're going to find out. And so many of them are giving themselves up to Russian entourages in surrender because they are afraid of death. They know their causes is foolery. Now, let's continue. I digress. I could continue on that and get down into some really delvish things. Deep things. That's what I'm saying. Now the I Am saved Hezekiah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Now this is the same thing that's going to happen here. Many of your leaders in the West are suffering of their people when they find out you're causing shame upon us. Look at France. Look at Germany. All these who had their grandeur days where they could slay flesh and where they could cause themselves to look good and strong and powerful. Video games, Call of Duty, and all manner of games where they can go inside the evil depths of hell, even to heaven, and make themselves look as though they're more powerful, but they're weak as water. God's going to show you up eventually, and your people are going to curse you. Now, and even those African leaders that take its people and for the money and for the prestige of thinking they are, I'm talking about even you, South Africa, especially, thinking that your association with those who have taken you through apartheid and your association with those that you think that have the answer to all your problems, do you not know that the only reason they are there the way they are because they prohibited you from learning or doing just as they did in the United States? You did not learn. They kept you ignorant of their way. Now they have imposed their way upon you. And now the whole world is trying to keep up and raise themselves up to the way of the West. This is their dominance. It's their way. And they make sure their children understand their way, which is capitalism, supremacy, and that you are gods. This is what they're saying. But you have to come out of that dilemma. You have to come out of that Stockholm syndrome, for those of you in Zimbabwe. Yes, you do. But let me continue. I can keep on going. But anyway. Now, he brought many gifts unto the I Am, and brought many gifts unto the I Am to Jerusalem, and presents to Hezekiah king of Judah, so that he was magnified in the sight of all nations thenceforth. And in those days Hezekiah was sick unto death, and prayed unto the I Am that he spake unto him, and gave him a sign. But Hezekiah rendered not again according to the benefit done to him unto him, for his heart was lifted up. Therefore was wrath upon him and upon Judah and Jerusalem. In other words, Hezekiah got a little proud about himself. How did he do that? He prayed unto the I Am, and he gave unto him, and he gave him a sign. That was his sickness. Now, notwithstanding, in verse 26, this is where I'm at. Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of the I Am came not upon them in the days of Hezekiah. It's so easy when you have gotten a victory. Look at the Western nations, those of you that are humbled. Look at the African nations, those of you that are humbled, and historically accounts. When God has delivered a people, even in the biblical accounts, and then the king or the people get lifted up in themselves, and that they figured that they did it themselves because we didn't see God around us. I remember I got that guy. And then all of a sudden here the enemies come upon again and defeat them. This is bad. It's always to stay humble before your God, because it is He. Whether you thought it was by your might that you just subdued your enemy, or by your legal, should I say, expertise that you have defeated your enemy, or whatever means, it's God still. Because who has the sway over men's hearts? Not only evil spirits, but spirits. And the Spirit, which is God, the Spirit that moved upon the water, the one like the wind we cannot see. This is what they're saying. When you say spirit, when you say ruach, you're saying one we cannot see, but we know he's there. This is what you're saying. Please get these words right. Now, but Hezekiah rendered, rendered not again according to the benefit done to him, for his heart was lifted up. Therefore was the wrath upon him. Notwithstanding, Hezekiah, in verse 26, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of the I Am came not upon him in the days of Hezekiah. And Hezekiah had exceedingly much riches and honor, and he made himself treasures of silver, and for gold, and for precious stones, and for spices, and for shield, and for all manner of pleasant jewels, storehouses also for the increase of corn, and wine, and oil, and stalls for all manner of beasts, and coats for flocks. Moreover, he provided him cities and possessions of flocks, and herds in abundance, for God had given him substance very much. And the same Hezekiah also stopped the upper water course of Gihon. Remember that river Gihon? And brought it straight down to the west side of the city of David. And Hezekiah prospered in all his works. Why? Because he humbled himself. Howbeit in the business of the ambassadors of the princes of Babylon, who sent unto him to inquire. Now this is where the transition is about to happen, where God is about to take all of Israel out. They shall come in and out at this point. Who sent to him to inquire the wonder that was done in the land. Because God still knew Hezekiah had pride. God left him to try him, that he might know all that was in his heart. God left him. Not that God knew what was in his heart, but that Hezekiah might know what was in his heart. Have you ever had that friend that would show off everything he got? Oh, I got this and I got that. His new cars, oh, his house and everything. And, you know, people look, oh man, you all right. And then all of a sudden, or maybe a year or two later, somebody done a lick. Yes, if you know what I mean. Somebody done stole or vandalized his stuff. Now, the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and his goodness, behold, they are written in the vision of Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. And Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the chiefest of the sepulchres of the sons of David, and all Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem did him honor at his death, and Manasseh his son reigned in his stead. So therefore we have to be careful. Those things, how small they might be, those things that God had blessed us with, that we do not take it unto ourselves, but always give the glory to the Most High. And many times we are guilty of those things, but to remember and know and regress from those things that we are about to boast about, of our own strength and might and wisdom. All this comes from the Most High. But what we do have, see, God lets you have such a leeway. But what you do have is a choice to always exalt your God and always attribute to Him the praise and glory for what He has done in your life and for you. And if we do those things, we will have peace.
Walk with me.